Today is the 4th of the new year. We are just getting started here. This is our second stream of the new year, and we are ready to talk about some Auburn football. This season wasn't the best in any means. Recruiting was pretty exciting. I'll definitely say that. Um, but I mean, the 6-7 record definitely does not cut it, especially considering all the early season problems that Auburn had, and especially considering that our offensive coordinator was not very good. I mean, um, there's a lot of things to be considered here, and we're gonna talk about all everything that happened this season, including some losses that um, weren't so good, including the New Mexico State game and Alabama game and all that. And then the bowl game, of course. Extremely disappointing in the bowl game. You know, but I mean, all things considered, I just feel like, this season was kind of a skip year for Auburn. As much as I hate to say that, I mean, it's truthful. Um, I think considering that, the roster turnover and not really having a quarterback that can really throw the ball downfield hurt us all season. And, I'm not really sure if next season is going to be much better, quarterback wise at least. We got a lot of guys coming in the next freshman class that's going to be really, really good, but, you can't always rely on freshmen to win you the day. Most of them aren't normal freshmen, but you got to think that Auburn has to stay a little bit, busy in the portal, trying to get maybe a quarterback and possibly one more wide receiver, hopefully some offensive linemen. I know we got a defensive lineman visiting this weekend. That's gonna be interesting. But all things considered, it's not all that bad. Obviously nobody wanted a 6-7 season for Auburn, but I mean, uh, it was an improvement from last season because we didn't even make a bowl game last season. Uh, not the improvement everybody wants, but an improvement nonetheless with an offense that probably was one of the worst passing offenses in the entire NCAA. Probably one of the worst wide receiver cores in the entire NCAA. I mean, you talk about lack of concentration. Some of the drops were just outright ridiculous. I mean, um, you know, obviously I'm not dissing on the players here, but some of the drops, oof, man, devastating. Devastating. I'm talking about, I'm not going to name any names, obviously, but, some of the players in our wide receiver group last year, I'm just going to call it last year now, um, weren't very good at catching the ball. Uh, yeah. I just got this in actually today, and it's actually pretty big. It basically covers half my room, so it's definitely a little big, but it's nice. It's nice to have something in the background. But anyways, back on topic here. I feel like, even with freshmen, Cam Coleman, obviously, Perry Thompson, those are not just normal freshmen. They're going to come in and they're going to play like juniors and seniors, I think, honestly. Maybe not so much Perry Thompson, or I don't know. What do y'all think? Do y'all think Perry or Cam will get more catches and more like yardage this season? Cause I'm leaning more towards Cam. Um, obviously both of them are really good, but you know, obviously, we got guys like Bryce Kane, Malcolm Simmons. I'm not skipping them over at all. especially Bryce Kane. I'm really excited for him to get on campus because, he's like a track guy, I think. Well, actually, Perry Thompson's a track guy as well. He's really, really fast. Um, I think Perry and Ryan Williams raced in like the Under Armour All American game weekend, and I think Ryan Williams won by like a landslide. So that just tells you how absolute fast that dude can be. And I still expect Auburn to make a decent push at Ryan Williams. It's kind of up in the air at the moment. Um, but I think the main thing, at least from the transfer portal aspects of things that we need to be focusing on, is the offensive line. 'Cause I feel like that's kind of a part where, it was half decent. We weren't like bottom SEC in offensive line production, but we were also nowhere near top. Like, um, especially considering our quarterback really did not like to throw the ball early. And took a lot of sacks that probably shouldn't have been sacks, especially, needing to throw the ball away. I feel like Dorn was much better in the second half of the season, but I feel like um considering the wide receiver talent gap and the offensive line really not being that great, um, I feel like there is a little bit of an excuse there. Uh, Now, am I saying Dorn's good? Absolutely not. I never want to diss any player publicly, but I just I don't think it's gonna cut it. Um, Coming into the next season, having a quarterback that really can't, you know, look at a guy, see him wide open, and then throw it right in there, like boom. Um, I don't know if it's just the lack of talent or just the lack of throwing arm, but there's definitely something there that's not being talked about enough. Um, I think Hugh Freeze has a plan. I think he's gonna get it all ran back up. I heard that Salter, quarterback from Liberty, it just makes too much sense a little bit there. I don't really know how good he is because, uh, I don't watch Liberty football. I watched the one bowl game and, didn't look very good. Considering a lot of aspects and also considering opt outs, obviously no one's really going to be that amazing in a bowl game. Speaking on that aspect again, I just I really, really wish that the NCAA this offseason would implement some type of like rule there to like prevent, you know, just regular guys from opting out and transferring. Um, because I mean, it affected Auburn too in the bowl game, really, honestly. Uh, not having guys like Jalen Simpson really killed our defense, honestly. And, not having, Justin Rogers and our defensive lineman guys. And also, having transfers and, a lot of our guys that were playmakers throughout the season, like DJ James, I think Nehemiah Pritchett wasn't there either. Um, I don't blame the guys that, have injuries and stuff, but I don't I don't fully understand that why people, want to opt out. It's really not, especially if you're like a late third, fourth, fifth rounder guy. You need that bowl game to help your draft stock. I feel like it's important because you need to prove that you can play at a high level when it comes to at the end of the season. Um, you need to prove a lot of stuff actually, and I don't, I don't know. I mean, I don't really know what the thing is with it. I don't fully understand it. I don't think I ever will. If they do end up implementing some type of like rule for it, I'd be all for it. I mean, um, obviously you want to be able to have your top players in bowl games, and that's a big reason why people lose bowl games because they don't have their top players. Um, but anyways, moving out from that aspect of things, just talking about the defense a lot here. I don't think our defensive coordinator really did that bad of a job. Um, I do think that there's a lot of room to be for improvement there. Um, I think, in some aspects of things, sometimes, the defense really couldn't tackle. I think our linebacking core is like, it really, really, really needs to be better. Um, Especially considering that we're going to be losing some guys. What's up? But we're losing a lot defensively. I know we're losing DJ James. I know we're losing Nehemiah Pritchett, Puckett. But I mean, a little bit of a clean and players is fine because like a lot of these guys, a lot of these seniors and like super seniors were left over from like the Gus Malzahn and like Brian Harsin era, and I'm not trying to say those players don't play. Oh, thanks for tuning in, man. I appreciate it. A lot of those guys were left over from the Harsin and Gus Malzahn era, and I'm not saying they can't play. Obviously some of those guys really helped contribute to our team this year, especially Simp. Um, Simp was like our main guy. Like he was our playmaker. He was our defensive guy. I'm gonna miss Simpson, man. Um, I obviously wish he would have stayed for the bowl game, but you can't help it sometimes when you're injured. I understand in that aspect of things. Um, I'm I'm really wondering now if Jarquez Hunter is gonna come back as well. From what I was last hearing, I heard that he was gonna come back due to the fact that he hasn't eclipsed 1,000 yards in his career yet. Well, not in his career, but in a season yet. And I feel like if he does come back, there's a really, 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 really high chance he'll do that, especially in a much, much, much improved Freeze offense. I feel like, one thing that really didn't benefit us throughout the season is I feel like Jarquez Hunter would have had a lot more explosive plays if we were able to pass the ball throughout the season. Because the way kind of football works is the reason why you pass the ball sometimes is so you can run the ball. And you run the ball so you can, play action, throw a big one down the field, and touchdown, right? We didn't really see that throughout the season. And I think that was, a main aspect that was really missing from our offense is, the big play threat. There was no big play threat on our team. I'm glad Fairweather's coming back because I feel like with a better quarterback, I feel like he's gonna be like much, much, much better. Um, I do I do want to ask, out of all the receivers and like all the players on our team, who do y'all think is gonna be our number one playmaker? Like, I'm talking leader in receiving yards, leaders in touchdowns, leaders in catches. I would say catches. I think it's gonna be probably Fairweather. Receiving yards. Mm, that's a tough one. Honestly, I think. Honestly, I really want to see Jay Fair get used a lot more. Um, I feel like we really didn't see him enough this season. I don't know if maybe there was an injury that I didn't know about, or maybe some other reason. But I feel like he should be used much, much, much more than um, he had been being used this season. I just honestly think, to be completely honest here, I think Freeze just needs to take control of the offense again. Um, I don't think there's any reason. uh, that anybody else should be running the offense. I mean, he's clearly proved in the past that he's able to run a good offense. He's proved that he can develop guys, obviously. Maybe not on this team yet, but I mean, you look at Metcalf, you look at um, who else? AJ Brown, you look at all those receivers, Laquan Treadwheel. I don't know if that's how you say the name, but he's proved in the past that he can develop guys. Um, and I think if he just took control of the offense, everything would be much, much better. Um, I do want to pull up the schedule real quick, and I'm gonna just brush through this real quick. I'm not putting in no early predictions yet, because honestly, I still don't know really who our quarterback is going to be. I really don't know if Peyton Thorne's gonna be the guy. Um, I don't. I highly, highly doubt that Peyton Thorne's gonna be the guy next year. I'll be completely honest. It's either gonna be Salter or it's gonna be Hank Brown or Walker White. Honestly, I don't know what's up with people like not being interested in Walker White starting. Um, I mean, honestly, to me, he has the most like talent on our entire quarterback group. To be completely honest, I mean, I've watched his highlights, and I mean, yeah, there's stuff he needs to improve on, but I don't get what people mean by they say he needs to take a development year. Sitting on the bench, I, I just don't think that's much development. That's the reason why people transfer out at the end of the day is because they want to play. They don't want to just sit on the bench. They want to be a starter their first year. And our last freshman starting quarterback was pretty dang good. Almost Heisman winning quarterback Bo Nix. So I mean, when you really look at like the stats and stuff, I feel like Walker White could be like a 4-year starter for us easily. And I'm not over here saying Hank Brown can't be. Um, I'm saying it was one game and people need to calm down a little bit. Yeah, he looked like fire coming out of a cannon. But you gotta understand, in a bowl game with nothing to lose, yeah, a guy like that's gonna perform pretty well usually. Um, but also, you gotta remember, not really playing against a top tier defense. Um, and I just, I don't believe in it quite yet. I'm not saying I don't have confidence in the guy. I feel like he could be a good quarterback. Um, but I'm just more so saying like I think we need to chill out on that a little bit. Um, I think he can be a good quarterback, obviously. Um, I just think, in reality, playing in a bowl game, it's not much experience. I mean, you're playing against probably only half Maryland's defense, and, Maryland's defense isn't really that great already. Again, with Cam Coleman, with Perry Thompson, I don't know what any of those quarterbacks could do. Because it's like, it's such a big difference in talent that's like, this is our receiving core. This is what it's gonna be. We have so much more talent. And I'm really excited to get those guys in there. Um, and I think, in terms of things, it's gonna be a big improvement from this season. Um, but again, I do really feel like we have to have an offensive coordinator change. I think that's gonna be the number one thing. If we don't change offensive coordinators and Freeze just sticks with Montgomery, then we're basically saying we're perfectly fine with being mid for the next 4 to 5 years. And that's not me being a hater. That's not me saying that, Philip Montgomery can't be a good offensive coordinator. That's me saying Freeze needs to take control. Um, he needs to take control of the offense. Um, one guy, just switching off topic a little bit here. One guy I think is going to get much, much more playing time next season. Jeremiah Cobb. I mean, talk about seeing flashes. I see big time flashes in that guy. Honestly, to be honest, I think he can be, a next Tank Bigsby for us. Like second round, first round, fringe first round draft pick, possibly. And I'm not saying Hunter can't be that guy. I'm just saying, like, Hunter's got a long way to go before he, wants to get to that point. Um, and I think at the end of the day, um, Hunter is gonna come back and he's gonna have an amazing season. Um, I think he's gonna be our leader on offense again. Honestly, um, I think that the chances he eclipses 1,000 yards and even maybe even 10 plus touchdowns, or much more, is very, very high. I think we're gonna have to lean on the run game a, a very, very high amount in this upcoming season. Um, and again, I don't know who's gonna be calling the offense. That's why I'm like refraining from doing early season picks right now, because I don't know if Salter's gonna be in there or some other quarterback or maybe Hank Brown, maybe Walker White. Who knows? I mean, I feel like this upcoming season, it's gonna be really, really mysterious until we actually see what's gonna happen. Um, everything is just up in the air right now because, we're still early in the transfer portal. I feel like we still get like several guys, throwing a couple defensive linemen there, throwing a couple defensive ends, corners, safeties, all that, and get some offensive linemen, uh, get some quarterback depth. Someone that can come in there that's 1 year rental quarterback that can go in there and start. I don't always like the idea of a 1 year rental quarterback because it kind of gets away from the old saying, play the guys you have, develop the guys you have. But it's 2020 freaking four. Everybody's out there going for a 1 year rental quarterback. Ohio State is. Um, I'm sure Florida State's got one. Oregon's got one. All these teams has got one. Um, so I mean, in reality, if you want to be on the level that all those other teams are on, you got to have a quarterback that's on the same level. Um, I think that 8, 9 wins is probably about right for next season. Um, I think that there's a lot of aspects that are still a little hidden right now. Um, my honest rating for this season, just rating positions, Hugh Freeze, I think, considering the recruiting class he brought in, but also considering the lack of preparation and honestly just the lack of accountability in interviews, I would only give him like just a B, honestly. The recruiting class is amazing. All right. I won't lie. It's really nice. I'm really excited for next year. Um, I think that probably offensive coordinators is an F. I'd give an F. Because at the end of the day, if your head coach is out there, trying to come back in recruiting and on the road constantly, it is your job to make a game plan that is going to be good for the team. And, I don't think that was done at all. When your head coach relies on you that much, you got to go out there and figure it out. And that's why I'm saying I don't think Philip Montgomery lasts too much longer. I feel like we're probably going to wait until, Ryan Williams' um, commitment comes up. And then I think that, we're going to have a change in plans. Um, I don't know who's going to be our next offensive coordinator. I don't really have a short list. Um, so that's one question there that's just I don't know. That's one question I can't answer. Um, but I mean, if we do fire him, we got to have a contingency plan. Um, we're gonna have to have a guy that can be a quarterback coach too. That can, and Hugh Freeze is basically a quarterback coach, is what I'm saying. Hugh Freeze just needs to go back to being an offensive coordinator, is my point. Um, I think that's the only way we're good next season. Start a different quarterback. Hugh Freeze, offensive coordinator. Um, and consistently call the plays. Because I feel like a lot of times this season, they were kind of juggling it a little bit. Sometimes Hugh Freeze was calling the plays, sometimes Philip Montgomery was. And, from what I saw, the games that we had a little bit more success, I think it was Hugh Freeze calling the plays. I don't think that was Philip Montgomery. I know what Philip Montgomery's offense looks like, and that's not it at all. Hugh Freeze runs a more, honestly, pro style offense a little bit, honestly. Um, he, likes flexing guys out and, he likes screens and all. He likes RPOs and stuff, but like, that's not the main thing he does. That's the main thing Philip Montgomery does. I'm not saying Philip Montgomery wasn't a good offensive coordinator, but he definitely doesn't cut it anymore. I just simply don't think he does. Um, I think there's a lot of aspects you got to consider. This isn't 2014 anymore. This is not Robert Griffin III, okay? This is not RG3, okay? This we we don't have an RG3, okay? And it's easy to hire a guy like that considering their past success, but it's clearly not working anymore. And I think that's the first of many, many, many moves that we're gonna have to make this offseason. It's a long offseason. So, um, I think it's gonna happen very, very soon. Um, and honestly, I would say even in the next couple of weeks that we could see, someone go, someone being let go. It's not gonna be Caddy, I'll tell you that. People need to stop the rumors saying that this guy's gonna leave. Ether's just gonna leave. Cadillac's gonna leave. This guy's gonna leave. No, nobody's leaving. Okay, I think Hugh Freeze is gonna keep the guys that are on board. Definitely Auburn alumni. Can't let those guys go. Um, I think that honestly, probably offensive coordinator is gonna go. Realistically, that probably is the only guy that's going to be going. That's really the only guy that we need going very, very soon. Um, so, I mean, we'll see, I guess. But I feel like we have a chance next season to be ranked inside the top 25 eventually. Um, you know, I don't know what this offseason brings ahead. I feel like we're going to target a lot of different guys. There's going to be some misses. There's going to be some ups and downs throughout the offseason. Maybe even at some point, the fans are just going to give up like they always do. They're just going to say, we're not getting a quarterback. Peyton Thorne's the guy. Nah. Hugh Freeze has a plan. I trust him. Um, that's why his Liberty team, that basically kept everybody there, went 13-1 this season. That's why, Ole Miss, his team that he had there was so good. I mean, honestly, I'm not too worried about the future of our program. I'm not too worried about our future of our program. I think next season is going to bring a lot of excitement to the Plains. Um, I still don't know who we're going to get at quarterback, but I do know that the future is looking very, very bright for the 2024 season, especially considering the recruiting class and everything. Um, so I'm very disappointed as an Auburn fan this season. Yeah, I would probably grade the season itself just like a C minus. I think Hugh Freeze is probably a B, considering the recruiting class he brought in. Defensive coordinator, I think, was probably a C plus. Think he did good. I think there's still a step that he needs to take to, generate more pass rush. Um, that's gonna help with having all those freshmen coming in, but Keldrick Falk, I think, is gonna be really, really good next season. And yeah, so I mean, considering everything, I think Auburn's gonna be all right. I would grade the complete total season as a C minus for Auburn. Great recruiting class, not so good season. So next season, I feel like will be a lot better. But to end this off, um, at the end of the day, a coach is gonna have a plan when he comes in, and you got to give him more than a year to implement that plan, to changing culture and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, he has a plan, and he'll get us straight. Uh, but anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for now. I'm not gonna run this thing too long, so I'm gonna end this for now, and I will see y'all next time. War you as always. I'm your host, Griffin King. This is the Real G Sports Podcast, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.